Hi there, this is Rishabh, and I welcome you to Behind the Codes. So, what exactly is behind the codes? So, दोस्तों क्या होता था कि बिफोर द कोविड एरा कलीग्स मिलते थे वाटर कूलर पर एंड देयर यूज्ड टू बी वाटर कूलर कॉन्वर्सेशंस जहां पर दे यूज्ड टू शेयर देयर एक्सपीरियंसेस थॉट्स आइडियाज एंड व्हाट प्रॉब्लम्स दे आर गोइंग थ्रू बट समहाउ जैसे ही कोविड हुआ तो ये कॉन्वर्जेशंस कहीं ना कहीं थोड़ी रुक गई हैं दे हैव स्टॉप्ड and the mission of behind the codes is to keep these conversations alive. So they are endangered, and our mission is to save them. Our mission is to make sure that these behind the code or the water cooler conversations they are happening. So I'm going to leverage the fact that we are doing these sessions virtually now, which means they need not be limited to my colleagues. So I'm going to try to bring very interesting people to these conversations and listen to their perspectives, thoughts, ideas, and the problems which they are going through. So these conversations are going to be very interesting. I hope you will enjoy, and please feel free to give your feedback. तो दोस्तों आज जो हमारे गेस्ट हैं इन द बिहाइंड द कोड्स सेशन ही इज रजत शर्मा ही इज अ सीनियर टेक्नोलॉजी कंसल्टेंट फ्रॉम गुड़गांव इंडिया and of course a very interesting person whom I got the opportunity to work with. So I'm very hopeful that you are going to enjoy this conversation. Hey Rajat, what's up?
Hi Rishabh. I'm good. How about you?
All good, Rajat. So how has been the Sunday so far?
Well, full of sleep to be very honest.
Oh, that's
So
really good to know. That's really good to know.
yes, I slept very late actually last night, so I've been sleeping like I guess till last 40 minutes. Then I remember that you asked me for a call, so here I am.
Great. So thank you so much for joining, Rajat. So before we start,
Anytime, Rishabh.
before we start the conversation, I would like to give you a brief idea about the format. So
Okay.
as you already know that COVID से पहले क्या होता था कि जब दो colleagues वाटर कूलर पर मिलते थे तो there used to be conversations. तो उनको हमने नाम दिया था the typical water cooler conversations. But COVID के बाद क्या हुआ that those conversations have somehow stopped and they are becoming extinct. So हमारे इस sessions का जो mission है it's very simple. We want to have conversations with the people we love. And so you're the first here. So we are very delighted to have you today. So
Well, I'm delighted to be there. I will like I do miss those water cooler and chai tapri conversations a lot.
yeah, the typical chai tapri conversation. So the format is very simple that we are going to have informal conversations, the kind we used to have on those water cooler sessions. And the only change is that I'm trying to we used to have these conversations before also, but the new thing which I am bringing here is that I'm going to record these conversations, obviously with your consent, and then I'm planning to post these videos to YouTube if the other member in this case you allow me today. So do you consent? Do you give the consent for,
Well, do I have to give it on camera?
yeah.
Sure. Yeah, obviously you can do whatever you want to do with this video, Rishabh.
Thank you so much, Rajat. So let's start today's discussion. The very first thing which we want to start with, the very first idea which we want to start with is how you ended up becoming a technologist.
Well, okay. So there's actually a very funny story here. So after my 10th class, I took admission in commerce. Okay, so
Commerce.
I was a commerce student for some time, for like around 1 month or something. So I
Okay.
took commerce as my father is an accountant. So I was supposed to be like a chartered accountant and take over his business. Like it was planned to be something like that, but
Okay.
okay. So no offense to any commerce guy, but I find it very repetitive and a little bit boring. And after some time, after attending classes for a month, I switched to non-medical. I mean, like I guess the only student in my school history to have switched from non commerce to non-medical. Okay,
Interesting.
and then I did my plus two, like higher secondary, and I was always interested in computers. I mean, like I find them very fascinating, and I guess in college you get to know about C. Like you came across C, and
Exactly. That's the first language which is taught
yes.
in most of
So
the countries, especially in India.
yep. So so I really find like C language is like I won't say I really enjoy doing working with C in any way. No, it was nothing like that. But
Okay.
I like creating things like that we used to have that star thing like reverse star and these stars and that stars. I don't know. I don't remember them now.
Yeah.
But yeah, like those were like I was very interested by them. I was very fascinated by them, and that's how like I find my interest. So so the awareness was not that much when I was doing my graduation, and I was always thinking that maybe like if I have to be as I was I'm a computer science graduate, so if I'm in computer science, so I'll be I can either be a networking engineer or I can be a like
Software
I can
programmer.
either go in networking or hardware or programming. So
Okay.
I didn't know that we have like so many fields. So I was just aware of these two, three fields, and I out of the available options which I have in my head,
Yeah.
programming seems to be the one which excites me the most. So that's how I end up becoming a programmer. And
So Rajat,
I
ऐसी कौन सी चीजें थी जो आपने सबसे पहले when you just started like or you become a programmer, तो do you remember any things which you created first? So for example, जैसे अगर मैं अपनी बात करता हूँ तो जब मैंने how I ended up in programming,
that would be
जब
great.
मैंने कोडिंग स्टार्ट की थी तो it was like I was so much fascinated by this game from EA Sports, that was Cricket 2007. So
Okay.
this was kind of the
Yep,
first game.
we all played that, I guess.
Yeah, so that was the first kind of a game which was appearing to be 3D. And
Mhm.
so when I went to my mentors to ask them that how can I create such a game, so they told me that you can use some high level language like C++ plus plus or Java. So at the
Mhm.
time Java seemed to be a fascinating name. तो मुझे लगा कि Java एक अच्छा मतलब सुनने में काफी अच्छा लग रहा है. So let's just give it a
Mhm.
try. And so I
Yep.
started working on Java, and I ended up creating a 2D game, which was a traditional brick breaker kind of a game. So
Yes, yes,
I
yes.
remember that as like one of the special projects which I did. So ऐसा आपके केस में क्या था, which was really like which you still remember?
Okay, so okay, I was in my college. I was not very much into coding like by myself. Okay, I was just like I was that kind of a person. Like if you're forced to do this, yeah, I will do it. But
Oh,
if you're not going to force me, so I'm not going to pursue that. So I was like that kind of a student, and the first thing which I remember is creating calculators
oh,
like
interesting,
programming. Okay, so calculators, and I was my interest was giving more features to calculators. Okay.
interesting. And who was forcing you to build these calculators?
Okay, so in our class we were like we were having labs and all. So in those labs it was like create something and all. And after that we have our industrial trainings, as you are aware. Like I'm an engineer, so we used to have our industrial trainings and then minor projects, major projects.
Yes,
So
yes.
in those things I used to do stuff. Like I still remember like the minor project which I created. Okay, I think I should add a wink here. The
Okay.
minor project which I created. Okay. So
Yeah.
in that minor project, it was an application where like let me tell you a very interesting project. So I wanted to automate the creation of exams.
Okay, automate the like exams as in the
Like
exams you were having in
the
your
question papers.
question papers. Okay.
Yes, because I'm like, so I was having this personal opinion that teachers end up creating papers with respect to their mood. Okay.
Okay.
Like if they are in good mood, the paper is going to be easy, and like the things which they have taught us
Oh,
or which they
that's
have mentioned in the course. And if the mood is not good, it's going to be something which like you've never heard about that thing.
interesting. So you're talking about like making them digital to kind
Yes.
of, because computers don't have moods, right?
Yep.
That's a
So
very good, an
that
interesting
was
idea.
one thing. Yeah, I was very interested in doing that, and I guess I created a project which was something like that, in as a minor project. Like, it was not exactly the same idea, but yeah, it was something which I was like, I was planning to do,
Okay.
but I didn't get a chance. So it's still like, guys, if any one of you want to try it, please go ahead.
So
We
Rajat,
can do the
when we were preparing for the session, you also shared with me that you worked on something which was related to heartbeat somewhere. So can you just
yes, yes,
tell
yes.
more
Okay.
about that?
Okay, so that was my major project in college. So I've got help. Obviously, it was not just me, but the project was something like I've read it somewhere that the heart patients,
Mm-hmm.
uh, their heart rate, like their heart rate needs to be remain in some particular range.
Okay.
Okay, if it's
Okay.
going too high, that means it's a risk to their life, and if it's going too low, then also it's a risk.
Get
Okay,
it. Yeah.
so we created a sensor. Okay, it
Mm-hmm.
was just a POC in which the heart rate of the people is monitored. Like, it was a small device which they have to wear on their finger. So the
Okay.
heart rate monitored, and it is sending the current heart rate to my app via Bluetooth connectivity.
Got it.
So like, it was in 2015, I guess. So I was not that much like, I was not that much advanced that I would have used internet and all. So it was connected via Bluetooth connectivity. So in the mobile, we were having an Android application which was monitoring that heart rate, and if the heart rate which is received, like, heart rate was received every minute. So
Okay.
if the heart rate which is received is above a certain range, it will ping the person. It will call the person. Like, suppose you, like, if it's for, say,
The
my
family
one of my
members.
relatives, yeah, the family members or the concerned authority or doctor or any, like, whoever you want to send the alert to. So
Very
it was
nice.
that kind of an application where, like, so suppose if there's a heart patient whose heart rate is, like, supposed to stay between 80 and 60,
Mm-hmm.
and if his heart rate is going at 85, so there are more chances to save them at 85 as compared to saving them at 120 or
Interesting.
150.
Interesting.
So that was the project. The name of the project was Bluebeat. It was 2015, I guess, when we
Blueprint.
created it, and
That's an
yeah,
interesting.
yes, it was recommended to me by someone, and I guess, like, that person deserves all the credit. But yeah, obviously, no names here.
Cool. Interesting. Great. So, coming to the journey now, so like your journey from there to here, I'm sure you must
Mhm.
have learned a lot of things, Rajat. So, what are you doing currently in terms of technology?
Okay, I'm currently working with the Node.js. So
Okay.
okay, it's a library, it's a framework. I don't know what it is. It is on top of JavaScript. So in simple words, it's
So
server
you
side
simply
JavaScript.
you simply don't care what it is.
Yeah, actually. So you know what? Like, okay, let me tell you something very interesting. So I've heard about these debates where people are debating about whether Node.js is a framework or a library or what it is, and I was
That's
like, bro, why
correct.
don't you just work on it? Like,
That's
how does it matter whether it's a framework or a library? Why are you even fighting over that? Okay,
interesting.
as long as if you're working on it, it doesn't matter. So I'm working on that, along with I'm working with the serverless architecture currently. So I'm working with Lambda functions, AWS, and all. So that's what I've been currently working with.
Serverless is something which I think is really catching up these days, isn't it? I mean,
Yes, yes,
wherever
I
you
agree
go,
with.
you end up hearing this term. So like when you're taking interviews, like most of the candidates, they end up telling you that they are working in one way or the other. We are working on serverless, isn't it?
Yes, because I guess so. Not all believe in that, but I guess server is an overhead now. It's considered to be an overhead now, because people are like things like AWS, GCP, they're providing their servers. They're like, why don't you just create functions and use function as a service? So for
Yes.
why do you have to take care of, like, auto scaling and things like this? So it's like,
Interesting. So, like, if you imagine the times when we did BTech, even though it was not like we are not old, but
yes.
imagine how the things have completely changed. I mean, it's been a change in mindset. So
Yes,
when we were doing BTech, Node.js was relatively new, and
yes, I remember, I
nobody was
remember.
thinking of things like serverless, isn't it?
Yep. So that's how it works, I guess.
I
Like
mean, yeah, we
after
have
like
seen
I
a
guess.
lot of change, despite the fact that our journeys have not been, as I mentioned, we are not old, but
Yep.
technology is changing very fast. So,
So to
like,
put the context, I guess, Rishabh, I guess you are a 14 graduate, right?
yeah, 14 graduate, correct.
And I graduated in 2015. So we are like comparatively new into the IT,
Exactly.
but we have seen like so much change. Like right now, people are talking about machine learning and data science, and they were talking about these things back then also, but they were not that much hyped. And I still remember, I won't name him, but I still remember a person telling me in 2012 that Python is dead.
Python is dead. Oh my God. Uh,
Yes, somebody told me, he was a mentor, a teacher.
okay.
Okay, so I was like, in my second year training, I was learning three things: PHP, Perl, and Python.
Hmm.
Okay, so I mean, like I've been told that if I master these three, I'll be like, I'll be very good.
King
I'm
of
like,
the world, king of the
king
software
of the
world.
world, like king of the software world. Yeah, that's what I've been told. So with software engineers, we are like, we just want jobs. Okay, so we were just working for that. So if somebody is
That's
telling me
very
that
interesting.
this,
I really appreciate you being honest. I really appreciate that.
I
I
guess,
think I think with the help of this session, maybe you can tell today's graduates, like if you were to go to their the place where they are today, if you were to go back to that place, what will be the things that would be the part of your focus? Like if you were to do your final year, let's say again, what are the things which you will focus more on?
okay, so I guess a lot of people are doing it nowadays. But my recommendation will be go on LinkedIn, find
Okay.
someone professional,
Hmm.
and ask them to mentor you, who's actually
Exactly.
working in the IT.
That is something which is really happening these days. And
Yes, yes.
actually,
I receive a lot of messages on LinkedIn nowadays. Like,
yes,
I'm a fourth year student, or I'm a third year student, and I'm looking to do this. Can you help me? Can you guide me and all? So yeah,
exactly.
you were saying something?
So which means in a way, technology has really contributed towards this thing. So enabling education in a way, I think technology is playing a very active role in this.
Yes, yes. I guess platforms like LinkedIn helps a lot. Although they were there, they were present while in our times also. LinkedIn was there. We were asked to create accounts there. But
Yes,
I guess
but I think the activity was less, of, like
very less.
very less,
Yep,
or
yep.
maybe it was there, but we were not active, so that's why. So no
Maybe
comments.
we were not having the awareness.
Yeah, probably. So like we can't say anything.
Maybe we were too busy on Facebook.
No comments, as I said.
Yeah, we were too busy on Facebook, and we were not giving LinkedIn the proper chance to actually.
Correct. Okay, so now that you have been a software developer for years, I think it will be interesting if we discuss on this. How do you see software development as a career?
Well,
I mean,
it's okay. So it's like any other career. It's very interesting. Uh, you'll not be bored, to be very honest.
as long
Okay,
as you're passionate about
as
solving the
long as you're
problems.
passionate, yeah, that matters a lot. Okay,
Correct.
if you're not passionate, your stress level is going to be sky high every time.
Yes.
Every time
So
a new
so it's
requirement is going to come.
yeah. So there is definitely going to be a lot of stress, right? If somebody thinks that it's a stress-free career, I really don't think
No,
that's
no, no,
right.
not at all. I still remember there's this production bug I've been working on since last like 6 7 days,
Okay.
and as I've just mentioned, it's production bug, so topmost priority. And like, and okay, let me tell you briefly about the bug. As you are, I know you are also into IT, and I'm sure you're going to relate to it.
Of
So we are
course.
sending a request, and once like the request which we are sending to a third party, so
Hmm.
once it's created, okay, once we are receiving the 200, we
Yeah.
are sending some action to be performed on what we created. So we
Okay.
have creation request, and once the action once so these this is what was happening. So the error, like I mean, like for
Hmm.
those 2% who are still interested to know what was the error, okay, we are sending the creation request, and that it was actually created in an asynchronous manner, due to which what is happening that it's not yet created, and we were getting an intermittent bug. So for the
Okay.
cases when it was created, our operation was happening successfully, and for those cases when it was not created on the third party yet, we were
Mhm.
getting an error. So that was the issue, and it took me like 5 to 6 days. I mean, like, you guys must be thinking I'm very stupid, but it took me 5 to 6 days to figure this out.
Interesting, interesting. Great, which is very common. I mean, software developers have this relation with bugs, isn't it?
Yeah, like, we can't live without them. We can't live with them. They're like our wives. Although I'm not married, so I don't know whether
Oh
how
my
that's how it's going to be. I'm not sure about, but that's what I've heard from the experienced people, from my team leads and all. So
God. So yeah, I think we will have to add a disclaimer here that whatever is said, it's purely meant for humor and shouldn't be
yeah,
taken in any other sense.
yes, obviously. So this whole conversation is meant for humor, actually, I guess.
Which is true. Water cooler conversations are meant to be humorous. I mean,
Yes,
without humor,
yes.
I really don't see anything which is left in the water cooler conversations.
Okay, I don't like, so when I came for this conversation, I
Mhm.
came with that water cooler mindset, just
Okay.
to speak my mind out and not think of anything else. So yeah,
So maybe
but I
you are
don't.
not aware that this is going to YouTube also. Uh,
Yes, that is like one thing which I should have thought.
but
Instead
I
of being
really,
okay.
but see, the best part is I really don't think it has changed much for you. I am very happy with the fact that you're being very honest, and that's really appreciable.
Thank you, Rishabh.
Yeah, please.
Why don't you, like, before we proceed further? Why don't you tell me about something, like, some funny incident happened with you during your software career? Like, I know you are in the industry from a very long time, so I mean, like, it would be
I
interesting for
don't
me to
know.
know
Well,
also.
for some reason, I am the guy who is like who is less good with remembering the funny incidents. I mean, even if it would have happened, I don't think it will be in my mind. But yeah,
Okay.
I remember, like, because you talked about bugs. So we were working on our first startup, and the idea was to build Android games and launch them on Google Play. And me and my friend, we started in the month of June 2014, and
Mm-hmm.
so the whole month of June and July, we were doing the development, learning things about Android, which was
Mm-hmm.
relatively new for us at that time. And the mission was to launch the first game on 25th of July. And on 22nd or 23rd of July, we start getting this null pointer error, which we don't know where it is coming from. Both of us
Okay.
had some background in Java, but we had absolutely no idea where this bug was coming from. And just as you mentioned, we end up spending somewhere around 5 to 6 days solving this bug, and end up launching the first game by the name Fruit Seller on I think July 31st. Even though
Okay.
now, because like life happened and we stopped focusing on Google Play, it has been unpublished now. So unfortunately, I won't be able to show it to you. But yeah, that was an
Okay.
interesting experience in itself. And the to add to that, at that time, like, this is something which I think can be very useful for those who are graduating right now. At that time, we had absolutely no experience whatsoever with marketing. And I mean, for us, it was like, you put it there, people will come and download the game, and we add a price to it to begin with. So in just 6 days, we realize that this is not how things work. So we come up with another business model wherein we say, okay, take the game for free, but let us
And
add some
watch ad.
advertisement to the, yeah. So that's how we start getting the first downloads of our product.
That's very interesting. Like, and as you have mentioned, okay, so I would like to say here that planning to launch it on 25th and launching on 31st is actually a success with the current software development scenario.
Great. So, Rajat, the other thing which we would like to talk in this session is, what are the tools which you end up using the most?
Okay. Well, I use, as I've just mentioned, like, I don't know what do you mean by tools, but I use VS Code a lot. I use AWS a lot. I use GitHub a lot. Like, not exactly GitHub, but Git. And
Okay.
Linux is my go-to operating system. Although I'm using Mac also nowadays, but I mean, like, I don't know why, but I have this undying love for Linux. Ubuntu,
Okay.
to be more precise.
So
Okay.
was this from right from the beginning, or it just
No,
happened?
no, no, I was a Windows guy. So
Okay.
this happened after my interest grew in programming.
Okay.
So I was not always a programmer, but with like slowly, gradually, I became more and more interested in programming and solving coding problems and all.
Okay.
And because I I choose this path, so on Windows the terminal is not that strong, like the command prompt. So I don't find it that strong.
Okay, I
And
think the similar incident happened with me also. So Rajat, prior to my internship, I used to be in love with Windows. Like my journey, the Java programming, it started all on Windows. But then once my mentor, he told me that once you will move to Linux, you will probably never like come back. And I think he
yeah,
was true. It's been years
I
now.
couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So I was okay. To be very honest, I've been pushed. Like I've been pushed to use Ubuntu Linux by okay, my brother commented a lot. Okay, and he used to say that, like, why don't you just switch to Linux, just try it. But I was like, no, I love
So
Windows.
this will be something which like all those who are, let's say, graduating from college, this can be a good lesson for them. But once you will
Yes,
move to
once you will see the benefits, like, initially it does look very difficult, like,
even though
you
we
like,
have absolutely no intent to promote open source, at least in this video,
yes,
even though we are open source fans, of course. But
yep.
yeah, not the agenda
Like,
for today.
there's this ad. I mean, like, I don't know, do you have any sponsors or not, Rishabh? But
I have
there's this
absolutely
ad.
no sponsors, Rajat. I have absolutely no sponsors.
Okay, can I put in an ad here, like,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you don't
please go ahead.
mind?
Please go ahead.
Okay, so the ad goes like, for Linux, I guess the tagline should be "पहले इस्तेमाल करे फिर विश्वास करे."
That's interesting. I think that's true. That's true. Because it happens
Okay.
also.
Yep.
Okay, so the other thing which Rajat, which we would like to discuss about is, so if you see that there is a hype these days, I personally call it the Fangy hype. By the Fangy hype, I mean that people like us who are technologists. I mean, so there are. I see it. I see it like this. So there are two kinds of software technologists: those who work in those who are living the Fangy dream, and those who are not. So how do you see this hype as?
Okay. Well, to be very honest, I'm like, I don't know what to say about this. I've
Okay.
never thought about it.
Okay.
Like, see, if the opportunity comes, nobody is going to say no.
That's true.
Okay,
That's
that's like, you dream, and it's not like it increases to your brand value, and your name gets associated with something good, and your career gets a very big push. So
maybe
these
a
are the
lot
reasons.
of credibility, a lot of you can say you get to work with the best minds in the world.
Yes, that is true. I agree with you, but okay. So I have a slightly different opinion. I think so. I personally believe that we should be in an environment where we are being valued. Okay, and
That's very
if I'm being
interesting.
valued at a startup where it's like just 5 people,
Mhm.
okay, if my opinions are valued there and if my work is valued there, I'll be equally happy there also, as I will be in a fan.
Got it. So this
So
is really a very good perspective, Rajat, and I think this is one of the best approaches to work. Like
yep,
valuing what you're doing more than where
yes,
exactly
I
you're
completely agree. Yeah.
interesting. So I think this is
How
something
about you?
this is something very one of the inspiring ideas which came out of this conversation, Rajat.
Okay.
So thank you so much for bringing it
So
on.
I didn't mean it to be inspiring, but like,
Yeah, but see, that's the thing.
like,
So
I'm damn sure people are going to say angur khatte hain. Okay. Okay, but like that's like, you make the best out of what you have.
that's true. But the thing is, like, this is the thing about the water cooler conversations also. You never have the intent. So, like, for these video sessions, I really have no intent of, making these inspirational or making these fancy at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm just simply going to log, or to be more precise, vlog. But I mean, if people find these ideas good, it's really good for me as well. Like, I'll feel happy about it. But as such, the only intent here is to just basically basically document these conversations for my own sake, because sometimes very good ideas come up, very positive thoughts come up, and so I think it's all worth to be documented.
Yes, I guess it's a good initiative because
Yeah,
uh, see, I like we don't always want to hear to like tech conversations, but we want to hear to people with whom we can relate.
exactly.
And
Like you said,
like I
some very interesting things. I'm sure people will definitely be able to relate. The best part was the originality with which you have shared your experiences. I think that is something which very less people do. And at least out of the circle which I have so far, maybe like when we go ahead with these sessions, I end up meeting more such people. Let's see. But I really appreciate the kind of originality which you carry. So that's very interesting, very fascinating.
thanks, Rishabh.
Okay, so there,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, I have a question here. Are you asking me to be more diplomatic from next time, or asking me to be more
Oh,
blunt?
what I have said is that I really, really appreciate the originality which you carry, which is interesting. I mean, this is something which is going to inspire more people than you telling them that, just go do data structures and algorithms and so on. So, yeah, cool.
Okay,
Now,
got your point.
okay, so this has been an interesting conversation so far. And there is one last topic which I would like to discuss about. And that is, again, one of the things which is discussed these days, and that is building your expertise in one thing versus becoming somebody who is having a breadth of knowledge, who knows about mobile development, who knows about, let's say, backend development, who knows about DevOps, who knows about few other things here and there, versus somebody who
Yep.
says that I am an expert with the Java, but out of that, don't ask me anything. But as far as Java is concerned, I'm the best in the world. So, like, what path do you think the techies of today should take?
Okay, so I don't have a straight answer for this.
It's
To
like,
be very honest,
yeah,
like and I'm very interested in knowing your opinion also on this. I'll share mine, but I'm after that I'm very interested because this is like something which even I thought about it a lot, and I have a lot of conversations with my colleagues whether like I was mostly into backend development and whether to switch to front end or not, whether to be a full stack developer or not,
hmm,
or whether to move to DevOps, or like whether I should do designing a bit on like these kind of things, like so you see that a full stack developer is obviously earning more, and uh, like these kind of things, like you're like I mean, like, see, we know JavaScript. Okay, it's
yes,
not
that's correct.
that big deal for backend developers who are
So
working with
being
Node or like things like.
being a full stack one myself, like, given that I'm a full stack consultant, I can tell you that it's not always that they are running more. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well, then I have no interest in
Um,
becoming full stack.
yeah,
Okay, so okay, so my opinion on this is that whatever drives your bot. Okay,
cool.
if
Okay.
you feel that if you're interested enough to know things, like if out of interest or out of money perspective or out of anything you want to learn these things, go ahead, do it.
Okay.
uh, and if you think you are capable enough of like focusing on 5 things at the same time,
Hmm.
please do that. But if you're like me, who feels that like this is my domain, and I feel more comfortable working on it as compared to going into something else, like
Hmm.
I in my personal opinion, I prefer working on backend things. I'm more comfortable in doing them. I enjoy doing it more, like more than comfortable, I enjoy doing backend stuff more as compared to front end.
Got it.
So I've done a little bit of front end, but I mean, like, I was not able to enjoy it, and that is why I never switched to full stack development. I always stayed in back end.
Backend. Okay.
So it depends like upon your personality. So it depends upon person to person, because I know people who are like full stack and who are like, obviously I know you, I know other people also are like full stack and who are who are doing it, who are handling it very well. And it's good. Like this full stack people end up becoming like architects and all, because if you're going to that level, just knowing one thing is not going to help you.
That's
If
true.
you're handling like 10
Uh,
people.
like out of my experiences, what I have realized is that
Mhm.
at the end of the day, I think it's less about the technology, because technology ends up being a tool. What's more important is the problem at hand. So
Yep.
understanding the problem and then being able to do what it takes to solve the problem is what matters to
Mhm.
me personally the most. So I mean, yeah, I have been the part of such conversations, but my opinion is always like this only: that focus more on the problem at hand, and then
Mhm.
whatever it takes to solve the problem, just solve it. I mean, if the problem is interesting enough, I don't think you will ever care about what am I working on, whether I'm writing, let's say, Python, whether I'm writing Node.js or TypeScript. You will care less about those things, and your focus will be to create the best product which can be created to solve that given problem.
Yes.
So yeah,
And to avoid bugs. Yeah, just to add a bit of.
of course, that's correct. That's correct. That you should always, like, there are things we will talk about them. Probably not in this session, but we will talk about those things as well. Yeah. So it's been an interesting conversation, Rajat. And even though we wanted to keep it limited, but there's one more thing which I would like to ask. Now that you are at a position today where you are actually contributing towards the hiring in your particular organization, right? So what I would like to understand is that what are the things which you are looking for in the candidates whom you hire? Like, who is an ideal candidate for you?
Okay. Well, I mean, like these are very textbook things, but I guess communication matters a lot. Okay,
Communication.
and I'm not specifically saying English.
I
You
understand.
आप
Matlab,
you can talk in Hindi also. आप हिंदी में बात कीजिए, आप पंजाबी में बात कीजिए. If you can tell me what you are trying to say, if you can explain what is there in your head, okay, and
basically
if you can
articulate
understand what I'm asking,
प्रॉब्लम को समझ के उसको आर्टिकुलेट करके एक
बिल्कुल,
सोल्यूशन तक ले
बिल्कुल,
जाना.
हाँ जी. So
या
that matters a lot. If you can't do that, I don't think I'm going to hire you. If I'm asking you something and if you're not even able to understand the question,
ओके.
okay, problem. So like that's a big red flag for me in hiring. Other than that, you need to know a little bit about basics. To be very honest, if I'm taking somebody's like if I'm hiring someone for Node.js, their skills of Node.js matters to me only 40 to 50%. Like if they know some basics, that's enough for me to hire them.
Interesting. Rest
As
it
long
will
as
depend. Rest it will depend on the role also, I believe. So whether you are hiring for, let's say, a junior role or a senior role.
yes, yes, like obviously, like if it's a senior role or
But
a
but
lead
these
role,
this thing came as a very good point, like out of this discussion, that communication is something very important. I mean,
yes, it's very
knowing
important
something,
communication and your
knowing something
attitude to
versus
work with
being able
people.
to, let's say,
Mhm.
articulate your thoughts and convey them
Yes,
to the next person. It's a skill to have in today's world.
yes, that's true. I mean, like, see, I see people lacking it a lot.
Okay.
So, I mean, like, if I have to tell people to work on one thing, so as much as you focus on your technical skills, also focus on saying what you are learning. Okay, there are a lot of talented people out there who don't know how to say it in words,
So
which
yeah, so
is like,
there's that famous quote by Einstein which says that if you can't explain it to a 6 years old, you don't
Mhm.
understand it yourself, which I really.
Yes, yes, that sums up what I'm trying to say actually.
Cool.
And
Great.
Einstein was.
Yeah. Great. So, Rajat, I think it was a wonderful conversation, better than what I originally thought of. I mean, yeah, for us, it was one of our usual conversations, but there was some very good ideas which came up, and some very beautiful thoughts, I would say. So, thank you so much for being with us, and I really hope to see you in some future session of this. I don't know what to call it, whether it's a cooler conversation or behind the codes, or let's say just another conversation. But yeah,
Well, it's the same thing for us, I guess, from now
exactly.
onwards.
So yeah. So thank you so much, Rajat. It was really nice interacting with you. Thanks, Rishabh.
Thanks, Rishabh. Thanks for having me. See you soon.
Yep. Bye
Bye.
bye. So this was Rajat, friends. I hope you enjoyed this behind the codes conversation, which we just had with Rajat. And stay tuned for more such conversations. Thank you so much.